Hi, my name is Kat. I've never done this before, but I decided to shoot a video to talk about my bipolar 1 diagnosis. I have looked online at several different videos on YouTube and found it really helpful and interesting to read or watch what other people have gone through and what their experiences are, their thoughts and feelings are about that. You can read books, which I've done, but they don't explain how it feels to have those symptoms and how it feels to try to live normal life being bipolar. And I do have one friend who's also bipolar, but we don't get to meet up in person or anything, hardly ever. So even though she's there for me as a resource, it's just not the same. So I'm Kat, and I was first diagnosed bipolar as a teenager. They say that you tend to have one experience or a experience in life that is traumatic or difficult, and that you might have had a predisposition to become bipolar, to being bipolar before, and you go through this experience and it kind of opens Pandora's box and you get diagnosed and go crazy. For me, that was being raped in my backyard when I was 15. I was outside talking on the phone. I went back inside, went back outside a little while later, and we had apartments that bordered our backyard, so a guy apparently had been watching me on the phone, and he jumped the fence, raped me under my parents' bedroom window. And then that was the night before finals my senior year. It was the night before we were going to be moving to a new house, thankfully. But there was a lot of chaos. And so that was really stressful and chaotic. I had already been having an eating disorder before that, and was having a hard time with my self-esteem and fitting in. Life wasn't exactly perfect before. Once I was raped, and we went through the move and to the emergency room and all that, about a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, I discovered that he had also given me genital herpes. So I can't forget him for the rest of my life. Thank you very much. That was really devastating at that time as a teenager. Not only was I raped and that was taken from me, but then I've been marked and tainted for the rest of my life. I have to deal with having this disease that this fucking asshole gave me. Luckily, thank goodness, I had had sex for the first time about a month before this happened. So, although, only once, at least that wasn't how I lost my virginity. So I have that to be thankful for. After we went to the hospital that night, we spent the entire night in the hospital, doing the exam and all the horrible things they do when you're raped. We went straight to my school afterwards to talk to the principal, explain what happened, and to get me out of my finals. Once we did that, we went directly to the new house that we were moving into that day. From there, my parents, allowed me to surround myself with a couple friends. who basically tried to take care of me while my parents were busy moving and dealing with everything. So I ended up out of my mind. I was just out of my mind. Crying all the time. I don't think I was that coherent. I was suicidal. I just wanted to escape and run away. I tried to run away a couple times. I would hide where everybody in the house would be looking for me and couldn't find me. I was very emotional. So following that, I got diagnosed with a couple things that I didn't believe later, because I felt like anybody who goes through that kind of a traumatic experience is going to have some feelings about it, some emotions. You're going to be fucked up. I think that's pretty fucking normal. But they diagnosed me with ADD, which that doesn't fit. I'm not ADD. They diagnosed me with bipolar, which was the only one that did kind of make sense, but at the same time, you know, hey, I was going through all this crap. And then they diagnosed me with borderline personality disorder. Again, another one that I do not believe. It does not fit me, you know, now that it's been, 17 years since that trauma. So, you know, I started going to counseling. I was also going to a group counseling for having an eating disorder. Eventually, I tried to kill myself. They put me in a psychiatric ward for a week. That was awful. That felt like being violated again, being raped all over again. Then I was out for a while and just wasn't doing good. I was cutting on myself. I was making myself throw up with Ipecac. I was using laxatives. I was doing all sorts of drugs. I mean, not like heroin, but you know, powders. And I don't even know what kind of powders they were. It was just whatever people had. And alcohol and weed and acid and shrooms. Just a lot. I was trying to drown myself and be taken away, which of course didn't work. You can't run away from yourself. After that, I was after another suicide attempt. My mom took me with her to a business trip instead of putting me back in the psych ward, which I appreciated, to a business trip to Toronto, Canada. While there, I was, for some reason, she and even though my dad went with me, he left me alone a lot when she was working, and obviously, you know, wasn't around. Which probably wasn't the best idea. My drinking age there was 16, and, 18, sorry, it was 18. I was 16 by that point. And so I would sit at the bar, the edge of the bar, writing, you know, waiting for guys to send me drinks. That happened, and this guy wanted to go for a walk with me. And then he took me into the rec room, which was closed and dark, and into the rec room bathroom, and on the bathroom floor, he also proceeded to rape me. So I've been raped in multiple countries. Awesome. After that, I felt like I needed to hide my identity. I didn't tell my parents what went on. But I insisted. I had long, straight hair. I insisted that I get my hair done and there. And so we went and I got a really bad perm. And she cut layers into it too. So I had like chunks of fluffy hair, and then nothing, and then chunks of fluffy hair. It looked awful. It was like some horrible 80s hair. When I got home from the vacation, I was so serious, still just, distraught, that I cut all my hair off. I hated my hair, the way it was, the new hairdo, and I cut it all off. So now, because it was curly, I looked like little orphan Annie. But it was just another thing I did, trying to get through how it felt. And I just kept putting myself in bad situations. The first rape, completely not my fault. The second and the third, I hold some responsibility in, because I put myself in a situation of vulnerability. I don't know what I can say for myself about that. It was just fucked up. The third time was a little less me. I was with some friends at a house of a guy who I had known since I was in grade school and really trusted. My parents trusted him. There were a lot of us just drinking and smoking pot and stuff. And my friend came over, a girl, and she came over and hung out a little while, but then she wanted to take me to this other party. And my husband-to-be, who we had just met at the time, my husband-to-be was there, and it was his birthday. And he did not want me to leave, and he tried to get me to not go. The guy who I'd known since grade school did not want me to leave. They both decided to hide my purse, thinking that would keep me there. But I was drunk, and I was stupid, and my friend was, pulling me to go. And so I did. I went with her. So we went to this apartment, and I was given a drink. And I was drunk, but not that drunk. But after this drink, I was blackout drunk. I've never been that drunk before or since. There was something in my drink. I ended up throwing up over the balcony. I woke up in bed with a guy, and then blacked out. Woke up with a couple guys around me. Blacked out, woke up with a different guy. So basically they gang raped me while I was passed out. When I finally woke up, I woke up in a different bed with another guy, and then had to, I had thrown up all over my shirt, and it had gotten thrown away. So I had to be quiet, steal a shirt from him, and get the fuck out, and walk pretty far home. It was pretty devastating. My husband, who again wasn't even my boyfriend yet at the time, was pretty devastated. That was the last one, and kind of a turning point. My husband really saved me. He and I started, as he and I got closer together, I quit needing those other things. I kept trying to escape. I quit needing the drugs and the alcohol. And during all this, I'm going to counseling. I'm taking Zoloft, and also taking Klonopin for anxiety. Need some water. But as my relationship with my husband develops, I realized that, I don't think I need all of these things. And I don't know that I believe all these diagnoses. I'm fucked up. I had a really fucking bad string of bad luck. who wouldn't go through all of these bullshit things. Oh, and did I mention my parents got a divorce in the middle of this too. I discovered my dad was cheating. I told my mom on him and broke up their relationship, their marriage. So that, by the way, happened in the middle of it. They found a lump in my breast, which I had to have removed. It was so big. It wasn't cancerous, thank goodness, but also that happened all in the middle of this time period. So I had a lot going on, and I was a teenager, and at this point I basically dropped out of school because I can't hang with it. You know, I can't keep it all together. So as my husband and I got closer and things started to calm down a little bit, you know, we weren't in as much limbo. The house we were in with my mom and dad foreclosed on. My mom allowed my husband, boyfriend then, to move in with us because he was in a bad situation. You know, his dad was a drug addict. So he moved in. That helped me so much. I quit taking the medications. We moved to the other side of town, and that really made a big difference for me. You know, for the first time I got a normal job, and that continued to be, you know, I continued to get better jobs, and just realized you can see the TV in the background there. And, you know, my life smoothed out, it evened out. But I've always been extreme, you know, extreme highs, extreme lows. I've always had those emotional things. When I was a little girl, I would hear voices, like static, not like a clear voice that says, hey, do this or anything. It was like noise in my head, babble. It was like babble that I couldn't calm down. I couldn't get to go away. And little phrases or little words would pop up here and there. But for the most part, it was just babble in crowds, and I hated it. And I know I told my parents about it when I was young, and they thought it was the devil in me and took me to church to be healed. That didn't work, obviously. You know, so I always had these symptoms that bipolar made sense. I always wondered, you know, was that diagnosis, because the other diagnoses were bullshit, but was that one, was it really accurate even though I was going through some extreme stuff that time? Well, fast forward to about 2 years ago. So that would have been about 15 years then, after the rapes and all this trauma. And I've been off medication these entire times. And, you know, I've always dealt with depression. My dad has dealt with depression. I've always dealt with these bouts of depression. And it just started getting really bad. And, you know, I hadn't been suicidal since all the rape stuff. And I was becoming suicidal again. And it was getting really bad. And I was starting to worry. And so I decided to make an appointment. Well, first make an appointment with a therapist. And then also I emailed my doctor and said, hey, you know, I used to take Zoloft. I'd like to get on it again. Here's what's going on. And so without seeing me, he said, sure, no problem, and gave me the Zoloft. And I started seeing this therapist. And after about a month of the Zoloft, it started working, and I started feeling better. But then soon after that, I started not sleeping as well. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and even more so. I mean, I've always had problems sleeping where I'll wake up, but I wake up in the middle of the night and not be able to go back to sleep. I'd be up either for the entire night or for hours and then go back to sleep for a little bit longer. So I was having these erratic sleep patterns, and I was starting to get really anxious. I was already taking anxiety medication, which I had not really had to take again for a long time because I have extreme anxiety. That's probably something for another video. But so I started taking anxiety medication, but I was getting extremely anxious, and kind of amped up. And I'd talk really fast, and my mind was working really fast. And I was feeling good. I was feeling good. And my therapist said, I think you might be bipolar. When I was explaining to her how I had been feeling, she said, I think you are bipolar, and what happens when you give someone with bipolar depression medication by itself is mania occurs, usually. And she was right. That was just the beginning of it. From there, I started seeing a psychiatrist in addition to the counselor. They started me on lithium. It takes so long for these medications to kick in and for you to know whether they're going to work or not and what dosage. And with lithium, they have to be really careful with the salt level in your blood, the lithium level. They have to give you a dose that's small. You've got to be on it for a little while, get your blood tested. Then if it's still fine, they can increase it a small amount again. Wait a little while, get your blood tested. It's just excruciatingly long when you're having these issues. Well, when we started this process, when I first started talking to my therapist, and she said, hey, I think you're bipolar, it was definitely hypomanic. So hypomanic, not as extreme as manic. You get more of the positive things. You feel like you are attractive and successful and able to do whatever it is that you want to do, and you just feel really great, really artistic. It's an awesome feeling. So as this process went on and we were trying different medications, I became definitely manic. So hardly sleeping at all, not needing to sleep, not needing or wanting to eat, no attention span. I had the most impossible time working and hiding from people. Like when you suddenly change, your personality suddenly changes so much, and you don't want to tell your coworkers and your boss that you're bipolar, it's really hard to hide. And I just had a difficult time. It would take me, I would go into work at 7. It would take me until like 1 o'clock, literally, to be able to get enough attention or attention span to concentrate on something. I'd get a little bit of work done, but if I was interrupted, all that building up process started all over again. I felt like I had a million different ants in my body and I had to move at all times. I just needed to move. So I went on several walks a day. I was talking fast. I was thinking fast. So fast that my eyes wouldn't focus. I've always been a big reader. I quit being able to read. Things online, even looking at stuff, was very difficult for me. It was like my brain was moving so fast that my eyes couldn't keep up. They decided to put me on an antipsychotic. They put me on Lamictal, and Lamictal made my throat swell up, back of my tongue and throat swell up, so I had a pretty severe allergic reaction to that. And they tried one other, I forget what that was, and it made me really, really dizzy. So dizzy that I couldn't drive or barely walk for a couple weeks. So that was no good. It was just a long process. I have just gotten stable. I've just felt stable, which scares me because I don't know what's going to drop next, what shoe's going to drop next. So that was 2 years ago, going through all these medications and changes and visits with the psychiatrist, and it's basically taken 1.5 years to come to what works for me. My problem is I need enough lithium. I need a good healthy dose of lithium, but I also get toxic with the lithium. So I've gotten toxic with lithium a couple times. I've gotten toxic with lithium just on the dose that I'm on, and I've gotten toxic with lithium adding Advil with it on a dose that was fine. So, we had to play around with that. And unfortunately, the milligram difference just going up one made me skyrocket in my, my lithium values and got me toxic. And just that one step down, and I'm not quite getting enough in my system. It's been frustrating. So I think right now I am taking, let's see, that is not the pill. Yeah, I'm taking 2 300 milligrams twice a day. So that's 1,200. And then I'm taking a 150. So 1,350 milligrams of lithium. And that's working really well. That's the highest dose I can take and not get toxic. The doctors gave me a prescription called Salicylate, which is a prescribed NSAID alternative. And it luckily, it's for anti-inflammatory, basically anything you would take ibuprofen for. So now I have something that I can take instead of just being stuck with Tylenol, which does not work on me. The antipsychotic we landed on was Risperdal, Risperdone, I think it's called both. I'm on the 1 milligram tablets. I've taken up to 4 milligrams a day. When I take that much, I'm really sleepy and really foggy, and it takes me getting up at 4:30, it takes me until noon before I feel like a live human being again. So I take 1 milligram of that at bedtime right now, and I increase it if I start having problems sleeping, or like a couple months ago I had to take some prednisone for a dental issue, infection I had, and I could start feeling myself become manic. I guess prednisone is just known for making you be manic. So I had to up the dosage at that time for that. And that's nice that I can kind of bring it up, bring it down. And then, so we did all that, and I got out of mania, but then I became very depressed again, really depressed and really anxious. I seem to get anxiety with the downs and the lows. And so then they put me on Prozac, kind of cautiously. And we slowly increased the dosage on that. And let's see, I'm taking... Yeah, I'm taking 20 milligrams, which apparently my psychiatrist says is a really high dosage if you're bipolar. But so far, since I've started that, we started low and went higher. Since we started that, I feel okay. I feel normal. I don't feel as extreme anymore, and I don't feel dulled. Some of the antipsychotics or the higher dosages, even of the one I'm on, make me feel dulled, and I don't anymore. Right now I'm doing really good, but that's kind of scary too, because that means I have a lot and I could lose it all. I could lose it all at any time, and I don't know when that time will be. Well, I should probably quit rambling on about the beginnings of bipolar for me. Obviously it's Christmas, as you can tell. I will post this video. I think this will be my first video ever, and then hopefully make some more on bipolar and more in depth on how it feels to be bipolar. Thanks for listening. Okay, how do I get this video to stop? Oh, my mouse stopped. That would be why. Okay, bye!